To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave para peeps on this side of the veil, welcome to the show. And I'm your host, Shawn Whittington. I am a seminarian with the United States Old Catholic Church, and we have a great show for you today. And I've missed you all. I took last Friday and last Monday off for a very special occasion. My co producers got married. So I'm happy to be back. And like I said, I have a great show today. You're going to love my guest, and he's in the green room and he will be on momentarily. First, let's check the prayer urn. It gets heavier every time I pick it up. I keep saying I'm not going to pick it up, but this is from Jim T. from Oklahoma. My wife, who is still young and healthy, has caught COVID and is now in the hospital, not doing well at all. Could you pray for her? Her name is Lori. Well, there you go, guys. For all you people out there that continue to say COVID is not real, I've lost many friends to COVID, a matter of fact, and I know friends right now who got it and who are very ill. And here you go. Yes, Jim, I will offer up a prayer to Lori for your wife, Lori, and be careful out there, guys. You never know, you just never know. So be careful. Okay, this is a beautiful prayer. I offer this prayer up for Jim and his wife Lori, that she has the Holy Spirit enter and intervene in her life and heal her right away. In the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. O Sacred Heart of Jesus, I come to you and ask you for the gift of restored health, that I may serve you more faithfully and love you more sincerely. I want to be well if it is your will and redounds to your glory. If on the other hand it is your will that my sickness continue, I want to bear it with patience. If in your divine wisdom I am to be restored to health and strength, I will strive to show my gratitude by a constant and faithful service rendered to you, my loving Savior and Redeemer, and my God. Amen. Lori, I will light a candle for you later, and I will keep you on the prayer list and keep you in my prayers. And I hope you get well soon. Hang in there, Jim. Okay, let's check the mailbag. Paranormal Ministry mailbag. Who do we got in here today? Well, I got a bunch in there. Let me just grab one. Brian K. from Indiana. Do you have a favorite haunted location you have not been to that you have on a must do list? That's easy. It's my family castle in Shropshire, England, Whittington Castle. And I've been in contact with many paranormal teams that have invested, some famous ones over there in the UK that have investigated the family castle, and it's very, very active. And that's got to be at the top, my family castle. And you know what? I'm going to keep this question out here because this is a great question to even ask my guest today, because he is um, paranormal authority, been in this gig for a long, long time. So, guys, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And remember, when you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things there. But my wife and I don't charge for helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to, click on it and send in a small donation. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we will put it to good use. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll find my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, the scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. I like to think of the book as a very different kind of feel good story, a lot of good versus evil where good wins. But the best part about the book, if you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every copy, every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to help the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book a little less expensive at Amazon. If you purchase it on the website, I autograph it. It leaves from my office here. I autograph it and I enclose it in a beautiful house blessing kit. Scroll a little further down on that page, and let me add this real quick about the book. Great time to get the first book because God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2 comes out this summer. And there's some stories in one that I left open ended that I bring closure to in the second book. So this is a great time to get caught up on those stories. But scroll a little further down on that page, you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a college level online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And this is the course for all you true warriors for Christ that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. You can enroll in the course there at the website. If you want more information on the course before making that type of commitment, there's a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, or you can just call me or send me an email. Talk to me about the course. This is not a course that's going to teach you how to be an exorcist. That's a calling. This course is exactly what it is, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. But all my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly. So, there you have it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, the reason why you all tuned in today, my guest. What can I say about my guest? Other than right now, he looks like the most awesome pirate you'd ever want to meet. Two, he's got a surgery coming up, and he's going to end up looking like Brad Pitt by the end of the year. So that's going to open up a whole new set of doors for him and a whole new life. Um, I kid. I love him. I respect him. He's a cool dude. He's a paranormal authority, been in this gig, the paranormal field, for a long time. He does it all. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only Jeremy York.
Hello.
Jeremy, give me some good news, brother. How are you?
I'm doing as well as I can be without the surgery. I pretty much maxed out on the health meter, so I'm doing really well.
Well,
How
I'm
you
blessed.
doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm blessed. Um, and you have always been on my prayer list. You will continue to be on my prayer list throughout the whole surgery. I don't want you to worry about a thing. It's going to turn out great. And you're looking like Brad Pitt when you come out of that surgery. That's very cool. And that's just the next thing you know, you'll be in court with an ex-girlfriend talking about inappropriate things.
um, no comment on that one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me start. Okay, you know what? Before I even look at the list of questions here, and some of your fans and followers have sent in some questions, I'm going to ask you the question that Brian K from Indiana sent in to us. And then I've got another little personal question I'm going to add on the end of that. Real quick, I hate to interrupt you. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to my co producers, Zach and Adrian. They recently got married. Um, but I do happen to know that Adrian recently had a death in the family. And I'm not, if I'm wrong here, God forgive me. I believe it's a son. I don't know. If she wants to pop on and tell everybody about it, she's more than welcome to. But I will keep her and her family in my prayers. But I do know that there's been a death in her family, and so I want everybody to keep Adrian in your prayers. today. So this gentleman here from Oklahoma asked me what my favorite haunted location is that I haven't been to yet. That's on a must-to-do list, and I told him my family castle in England. You have to. Well, you've hosted events at some of the most notoriously spirit-infested locations in our country. You've been to many of these over and over again and investigated them. You're the founder of Things. Um, what do you say to that question?
My favorite location that I haven't been to,
That's on the top of your must-to-do list.
the St. Augustine Lighthouse down in Florida. Um, that location came to my attention on an episode of Ghost Hunters, which is probably one of the top five most famous episodes in their
Oh no.
entire series. The evidence that they showed on that one was just beyond imaginable. It was the first time that any piece of evidence from anywhere actually sent chills down my back.
You know what? It's been a long time since I've seen an episode. I don't think I've seen one of the new episodes of Ghost Hunters, and I don't watch many of those shows. But way back in the day, I have to admit, probably the first few seasons, I watched quite a few of the episodes and a few of the Ghost Hunters International episodes. But I do remember that episode, and I believe the camera caught a spirit looking over the top
Yep,
down.
that was the one that sent the chills down my spine.
You know what? And it's funny that you bring that up because I have, if there's such a thing, I have a lighthouse fetish. There's something about lighthouses that I love. I mean, I was in the Navy. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I had a psychic once do a reading on me, and she didn't know anything about me or my fascination with um, lighthouses. But I was having some issues with my neck, and she brought that up. I didn't tell her. She says you've been having a lot of all your life issues with your neck, and you don't doctors can't figure out what it is. Well, you were a light keeper at a lighthouse in a prior life, and you fell down the stairs to your death and broke your neck. So, for what it's worth, that's what I was told, and it makes a great story. But there was a time where I came that close to almost buying one. I was living in California, and the government were allowing people to buy abandoned lighthouses for $1, but you had to prove that you were like a certified handyman, that you could keep upkeep on the property and the lighthouse and the
Okay.
keeper's residence, or they wouldn't allow you to purchase. And I came that close to purchasing one on the West Coast, but it didn't work out. But brother, if that happens for you, and you can give me a heads up, um, let me know because that might be something that I would have to put my best foot forward in trying to go with you and do that. That place is incredible.
It really is. At the time, it was labeled as the eighth tallest in the country. I don't know if it still is now or not, but it's still pretty high up. And everybody knows that I am deathly afraid of heights, but I would no doubt go up to the top of that lighthouse.
Okay, here's the part two to that question.
Okay.
Um, in the out of this country, where do you think?
Whew, oh man, there are so many places that I would love to go to. Um, Probably the first thing that I would want to check out just to find out why it is the way it is would be the suicide forest in Japan. Find out what's the lore there, what is drawing people there. Um, Maybe try to decode that mystery.
That would be intense, and you probably would have to do more than one day.
Oh,
That's like
definitely.
that's like a hiking trip, and leave breadcrumbs and let people know where you're at. Have a compass on you because there's, you know, notorious
I,
rumors of people just disappearing in
I
there.
would probably go walking in with a couple miles of rope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be incredible. Well, now I'm going to flip the flip it on to you on this. In 2 years, a couple of years back before the pandemic, I had it all planned, and then the pandemic broke out, and I had to cancel the plans. Now I'm involved in so much stuff right now. I couldn't break away on a overseas trip for probably 2 years, but I'm still in communications with the woman who's putting together a Ireland UK spiritual trip, for me and maybe half a dozen or so couples, or a dozen or so single people, doesn't matter, to hopefully my family castle, some really haunted locations in Scotland and Ireland. So that would be something that I will turn around and give you heads up on. Of course, you'll see all the advertisements and stuff, but
Mhm.
that might be something that would interest you. And I'll tell you why, because when we go to Ireland, the woman putting together the trip is very good friends with the Shawn who owns Lep Castle.
Okay.
And she's an entertainer, and so is he. A lot of people don't know he's an entertainer. And the two of them plan on not only allowing us to do an extensive investigation of Lep Castle. Um, I'm in the seminary route now, and if I went over there and it already became a priest, I would love to do something up in the Bloody Chapel where, legend has it the priest who lived there was in the middle of Mass and his brother murdered him up there in the Bloody Chapel. So I would love to go up there and do something in the Bloody Chapel. But yeah, that they're going to also perform a concert for us, which they normally don't do when people come
Nice.
and tour the Lepcot. So that's going to be a great trip. Of course, I'll give you plenty of heads up for that, but that would have to be something that I'd love to have you tag along on that. I think you would. All the places you've been to, I think that would be definitely look good on the top of the resume.
Yeah, I would love to go out to Ireland, Scotland, England. There are many places out there that I would love to check out besides just Lep Castle. I've always wanted to check out Stonehenge. I would love to go take a look at. I think I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but I think it's the Runston Standing Stone that's over in England. Um,
I'll
it
look that up.
is it is the biggest standing stone right now. Um, and this one here is in France. They got the Carnac stones. I am big into um, the different kinds of the stone structures out there because a lot of them are laid out in geometric shapes all over the world. They're on ley lines, and there is a mystique to them. Um, and I've got a lot of theories on that I'm waiting to talk to a couple people about to see, what would be there. Would there be some validity behind it? Um, but yeah, going out there to England and seeing all the stones that they have that seem like they're in random places, but they're not.
They have one here, don't they? I believe it's on the East Coast. It might be in New England or Mass, and I believe it's called the American Stonehenge.
There is an American Stonehenge. I know what you're talking about. It is somewhere in New England. I don't know exactly where. Um, and it's a shame that it's not as well known as Stonehenge itself. But we actually have a lot of stuff, not necessarily stone structures, but we have a lot of ancient ancient historical areas throughout the country, especially out there in New Mexico, where the old Indians used to be, and all the drawings on the caves that's trying to tell us a story, and we're trying to interpret them the best that we can. There's just so much all over the world that's not necessarily of a paranormal nature, but ancient history
Yeah.
is just so fascinating.
Yeah, we'll stop at some ancient sites. There definitely, I know of some ancient sites that I'm going to stop at in Ireland that have a lot to do with St. Patrick. Um, and we're also going to attend a huge um, pagan festival
Yeah.
that St. Patrick had a part in, where they light all these big fires up in the mountains and do these ceremonies and stuff. Um, so it's going to be an excellent trip. Let me ask you this: we're already in August of 2022, so 6+ months or so. As of today, this year, what for you, whether you personally witnessed it or you know of it, what would you say the most significant big paranormal event of 2022 has been so far? And I've got my answer.
Um, that's a really good question. Um, Not necessarily a paranormal event, but it's actually something that I discovered by accident that I can actually utilize on investigations. So with me wearing an eye patch, um, as everybody knows the term, getting your eyes used to the dark. So when I go to bed, I take the eye patch off. First of all, when you turn off the lights, everything in your room is pitch black, right? When I take the eye patch off, if I have just the tiniest sliver of light coming into the room, the entire room is lit up and I can see everything.
Wow.
It's really amazing. And I've used that a couple times on investigations. And the first time that I had it, I actually saw something that nobody else did. And that was because of my iris being so wide open. Um,
That's incredible, man.
it,
Yeah.
it really is. I discovered that by accident, just taking the patch off at night when I was going to sleep. And I was like, whoa, now all of a sudden I'm blind in this eye. And I can see everything with this one. So I utilized that at the Crown Point jail back in March. And we were in the hallway that's known as federal. That's where the worst of the worst go. And let's say I'm sitting here, I'm looking straight up ahead. I've got the brick wall on this side and all the cells are on this side. When the lights are off, you go walking in there, you can't even see the bricks on this wall. When I took the eye patch off, I could see every individual brick. And I was looking down to the other side of the hall, and I had Clarissa with me. She's one of our team mediums, and she was with me for this experience because with her abilities, I wanted to see if she felt anything around the same time, if I see anything. She did. She felt very heavy, not necessarily negative, but kind of leaning towards that. And when I looked, I could see the light on the floor as if somebody had turned the light on the other side of the cells where all the bars are at. And I could see in the second to last cell a shadow going across the floor like somebody was pacing back and forth inside that cell. I saw it and she didn't, and she was looking exactly the same place that I was looking.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah,
It
there
really
may be
was.
something to that. I'm gonna you being a big ghost guy, and you've done more investigations than you could probably even count or recall without looking at your records.
I
Let
actually
me
have a log of all the places I've been to.
let me throw something at you here. I talk like if you take the haunted tour here, it's been here in this town for a long time,
Mhm.
and you get on this little bus, this tour bus, and they take you to all the haunted locations here in Vegas, or many of them. And there's this one stop where they stop at two different parks. Um, One has the notoriously haunted by a little boy, and you see him on the swing set a lot. One other has notoriously two brothers who died at the other park, and you see them by these picnic tables. Well, when you get off the bus with your camera, the guy always says take as many photos as you want, but turn your flash off. Now, of course, you're not in it's at night, but you're not in pitch dark because there's some light coming into the park from the street lights and
Mhm.
stuff, and cars driving by and stuff. But so now there's that theory. Theory number two, I've talked to guys that have been on TV shows and have even produced and directed some paranormal TV shows that say, well, originally they started doing in pitch black investigations for dramatic effect. But flip side of that coin, I've talked to some old school Ghostbusters from back in the day that will say no. In pitch blackness, you're going to see spirit better because they tend to have their own illumination when they manifest and they appear, and you only see that in the dark. Having said that, I was in a pitch black where I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face, a pitch black situation once where I could clearly see the spirit. The person I was with could clearly see the spirit. We took a couple of photos. I believe one of the cameras did have a flash. A couple of the cameras took photos with no flash. And not one camera picked up the apparition that several of us saw with our own eyes in the pitch blackness. I know I
Sometimes that
just
happens.
I know I just threw a lot at you, but what are your theories about all of that? Darkness, no darkness, some light, flash, no flash, how
I
spirits manifest. What do you think about all that?
I think that there is no one set way for stuff to happen. I think depending on the location and depending on the environment, it's it's going to change one to the other. You are not going to go somewhere and have a certain kind of experience, and then under the exact same circumstances, you're going to have it everywhere else. It's always going to be different, and it's also going to be how you are as an individual. Are you going to be able to see something that's blacker than pitch black? Some people have that ability. Other people, they need to have that light. When it comes to taking pictures, it's going to be hit and miss no matter what.
Well, me personally, I have caught I have personally in my possession many photos that I have taken that have caught spirit in them in broad daylight, in the middle of the day.
Mm, yep.
Um, it's amazing. And another thing, a lot of investigators are telling me now that has them baffled, especially at these really large locations like a prison or a hotel, an insane asylum, what have you. They may be on the first floor at one end of the building doing an EVP session, and now they've gotten it's happened to them so much that they're starting to catch on and get wise to it. They'll go to the third floor on the other end of the building and leave a tape recorder running in a room. They don't get any response where they're doing the EVP session, but later on when they review evidence on the tape recorder that they had two floors up at the other end of the building, they're getting answers on that tape recorder from the EVP session at another location. That's mind blowing, and I'm not sure what that's all about. Theories.
Now, with that particular circumstance, is it the same recorder that was used on both floors,
Not
or were they
sure.
different?
Not sure.
Because I think, and we actually kind of found this out by accident during a residential about 4 or 5 years ago. There were three of us that was in the kitchen, and all three of us had a digital recorder, and they were all different brands. All three of them were running, and we were asking questions, and we had answers come in on one recorder and not the other two. And we had that happen on all three of them, where one would catch something, the other two would not. So I think, and I could be completely wrong about this, but this is just my thinking that depending on how the recorders are made and what frequency they are set to record on, is whether or not you're going to be able to catch something every time.
It's, you know what? You and I are going to be having this conversation in heaven one day, and we're going to have a good laugh over all the things we'll know then that we don't know now. I think we are the big experiment. I think spirit can do whatever they want to do.
Pretty much.
Um, let me throw another situation at you, and I've been in on these types of situation where you'll have a table and you'll put a piece of paper down and you put some trigger objects down. You'll trace around them. So if they move out of the circle or out of the markings around them, you know they moved. And then you have one camera, let's say a trap camera, so it's only going to be activated by motion. Then you have one camera constantly filming, and then you have somebody there taking photos randomly whenever they feel like it. Let me take one now. Let me take one now. And an EV, a tape recorder running. After the session, they go and they see some of the trigger objects have moved. Some of them audibly heard with their own ear disembodied voice. Tape recorder didn't pick up the voice. The audio on the camera that was running didn't pick up the voice. The cameras didn't visually show these things move, but all of a sudden they're moved and they're out of the trace marks that the trigger objects were at. What's happening? Are we being is an imagine not imaginary, but is some type of veil being put over us to where we're only being allowed to witness certain phenomena?
It's very well possible, because I have heard this numerous times, and I believe it, that they will let you see or they will let you hear what they want you to see or hear. I mean, we can go into a location and want to see this, and this, and hear all of this, but we're not going to unless they like us and they cooperate with us. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. What? Oh, you had a team for so long. You've been doing this.
Mhm.
What won't you do, and what won't you allow other team members to do?
We are we will try just about anything aside short of being disrespectful, um, harming ourselves or anybody else. We do not use black magic or dark magic or any of that sort. Um, One of my team members is very heavy in the ministry. He actually went to school for ministry. Um, we will do a lot of faith related. Um,
Investigations,
no, I mean,
procedures, approach. Like what scares you?
it
I mean, for me,
holding the Bible is what.
the longer I've been in this field,
Yeah,
I tell people all the time, the less I feel I know. And yes, I'm only human, even though I've worked a lot of cases from Uncle Tom and Aunt Betty hanging around the home because they don't want to let go of their home or be away from their family, and they had too much of a love for life, and they're not malevolent, to malevolent entities, to things much
yeah.
much darker. And yes, there's I still get scared. um, and mainly depending on the type of case, I'm scared for my client because I
Yeah.
know what the ramifications are. I know what the what the outcome will be if things don't go good for them and for me too. But what
Yeah.
scares you?
Especially if you do something the wrong way,
Yeah.
because that'll turn out really, really bad.
What scares you, and what is the scariest thing that you've had occur to you in all of your um, ghost
Uh,
busting?
so, but, believe it or not, I have not actually been scared by any paranormal phenomena, but there have been two incidences that have scared me. One of them was the same residential that I was talking about when that we did with the three recorders. Um, Michael Creek and I decided to take a break in, and we left to go to the gas station to get some food. I was actually approached by a gang of people. Now, keep in mind, this is 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I was approached by a group of very suspicious looking people. Went inside, got our stuff, and as we were coming out, I was approached if I wanted some weed, and I thought, no, I'll pass on that. And they asked a couple times. Um, that that got a little scary. Luckily, they finally let up and let us go. Another time that scared me would be it's the same situation, but it happened in multiple locations where I am ducking because we got bats flying all over the place. Bats scare me because
Yeah,
I don't want them hitting me in the face.
yeah.
Um,
People don't realize that's a little unnerving. I've been in a lot of places that had
it
bats
is.
and creepy crawlies around, and I'm not into that, man.
Yeah,
I remember
it's
one of the best high-paying jobs I had when I was young was installing alarms.
uh
And in
huh.
California, you have to run wire. You have to crawl under the house and run wire. And first, I was so happy to get that job, and I didn't think about that until we went to the first job, and I went, "You got to be kidding me!" And I couldn't do it. I couldn't climb under the house. I couldn't crawl under the house and run the wire and do the work because it was just spiders and lizards and snakes and God knows what else is down there. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Luckily, I've never run into any snakes. I've seen many, many, many spiders. Um, but bats, it's like you said, it's really unnerving where all of a sudden you just see something just dart right in front of you. And sometimes you can feel the wind from their wings. Um, and then as they're flying all over the place, you got to really crouch down and try to run out of the
Well,
area.
I've been told more than one occasion from diehard experienced urbexers who are also paranormal investigators that tell me the scariest thing to them is encountering people at these locations because they're usually abandoned locations, and the people you run into there, they could be any kind of person, um, and not
We
too
have been
friendly.
lucky on that so far that there had not been anybody that's not a part of our group in a location. So we have been very fortunate over the years with that.
Well, now I'm going to share with you the scariest paranormal investigation I was ever on. Not uh, this wasn't a demonic case, a possession case, or an infestation case, but this was just a regular paranormal investigation at a location called the Amargosa Hotel in Death Valley. And there's a section of the hotel called Spooky Hollow, which is they don't let people go in there unless you know someone, and I happen to know the guy that was running the place at the time, so he let me go back in there and do an investigation of this place. Haunted off the charts, the Opera House, the hotel, Spooky Hollow, the areas around, the cemetery, all that. So I'm in Spooky Hollow and I'm at the far end. I mean, if I get hurt or I need help, no one could probably even hear me. And at the very end of this one hallway, there's this bar, a little bit of like a saloon and a little bar. So I start talking to the spirits of there. I figure most of them are miners or whores because there was a brothel there. So I'm talking to them like, drinks on me, everybody, and I put some money up on the table. Feel free to come up and I'll even pour the drinks. I got behind the bar and I pretended I was pouring imaginary drinks and telling stories and all of a sudden I hear somebody walking up to the bar. Really heavy footsteps, like boots or cloven hooven steps. I'm a little freaked out, and there's clearly something's walking up to the bar. And as the footsteps get closer and louder, I'm leaning further and further back to the point where I'm finally up against the wall. There's just a little bit of a space in the bar, and something's walking up to the side of the bar. And I'm like, what is about to happen here? You know, never hunt by yourself. Never, I am saying that to myself over and over and over again. Never hunt by yourself. Never hunt by yourself. I'm by myself. Louder and louder and louder. And finally, it's right there. I'm like, what's about to happen? And this horse sticks his head through a hole in the wall and goes, yeah. Had to change my underwear on that one. I forgot that the whole place outside was infested with wild horses, and they're all over the place. And there was a huge hole in the wall, and there was a horse out there heard me, and he just decided to come and stick his head through there and see what was going on. Oh my! I can't even tell you how. I honestly think now this is the true story. I know I can over exaggerate, but I kid you not, I launched straight up, and it felt like for a moment or two I actually levitated. I even came out of
You
a shoe.
probably did.
I came out of a shoe. I came out of one of my shoes because when I came back down, I felt like I was barefoot, and I looked down, and one of my shoes is between my feet. So, yeah, and yeah, and then the bats were all over the place. But now I'm going to circle back to an earlier question. For me now, the biggest, most paranormal occurrence, I think, of 2022, and feel free to chime in on this, hands down has to be Adrian and Zach getting married.
Did you watch the live as it happened?
Oh, she's going to kill me. Um,
I
um,
as
I,
I was waiting on that live to come, because she messaged me before they were supposed to come on. You know, we're going to be a little late. So they finally came on, and I'm watching them, and I'm trying to figure out where they were supposed to be because I thought normally when you have a wedding at a house, it's done in the backyard. Not this one. This one here was done in the front yard, but the way that they did it, it worked out really well because when Adrian was walking down the aisle, she was coming down that little ramp from the front of the house, so that was pretty cool. Um, but the best part of it was when they had Jennifer be part of that wedding and do her own little blessing ceremony, and they took all four hands together and she wrapped them up with the I think she said it was a scarf and did her pagan blessing to it. And then Zach was trying to get his hand loose and he couldn't. He had to wait until Jennifer he had to wait until Jennifer could unwrap him. That's like, oh no, Zach, you're stuck with her now.
well, before the show started, and I know he's running errands, and Adrian's now in the studio running the show for us. But before she got home and before the show started, he admitted to me that that was one of the most special parts of the wedding was the hand binding
Yeah.
ceremony. But He
Well,
did when we first came
different.
on. I
You don't
said,
see
"Hey,
that in
Mister,
weddings.
hey, Mister, hey, Zach, how's it going?" It's only been a week and he's already learned. He said that's either Mister Adrian or Mister Hart to you. So I mean, he's he's learned already. It's only been a week. But I have a theory about the wedding in the front of the house, and a lot of people didn't notice this. And I saw the replay, the film footage. A lot of people didn't notice that one car that had the getaway driver, and it was idling the whole time during the ceremony. Zach figured if things go south here, I got a getaway driver. I'm ready to go. But you can't just take off from the back of the house. You got to leap a wall or run through the house. So he was prepared, but I'm glad it all worked out for him. And I
Yeah.
kid them both. I, you know, I'm a humble person. I'm not looking for anybody to pat me on the back or say good job or you called it. But when they first got together, I called it that they were going to get married, and they both went, "Yeah, right." Um, I was right.
When when I saw them at the temple for Fear Fest last year, now that was the first time I met Zach, and just seeing how they were and how happy they were, it was just inevitable that it was going to happen.
Yeah, I wish them both the best. They couldn't be happy. You never know when you're going to find true love, and you may go through many loves before you find Mr. or Mrs. Right, and that's okay too. That's part of life. But whatever age you are, I didn't get married till I was 40. But whatever age you are, when you finally
I'm
do,
42 and I have not been married.
it's on the agenda, brother. I have, I'm not a psychic. I don't do predictions, but I have a feeling about you. So you're just too nice of a spirit, too good of a guy. Um, it's going to happen. I just feel it. And like I said, you've always been on my prayer list. When I meet people, people always go, how big is your prayer list now? Does it go around the block? Um, I actually have a book, a prayer list book. It's not in here. It's where all the candles are burning. But when I meet people and they are become somebody special to me, I put their name in this book. And so when I lay hands on this book at night, or sometimes I open it up and I see some names, you're when I say you're on the prayer list, you are, and you all have been on the prayer list for a long time, and especially when you had your accident. Um, I pray for you a lot, and like I said, I'll be praying for you during the. Everything's going to be good. Don't even worry about it, man. Everything's going to be good, and I just have this feeling that we're going to be having this a completely different conversation with you. Uh, the next time we have this conversation about marriage and all that sort of stuff, I have a feeling it's going to be a completely different type of conversation with you on that note. So
You may be right.
hang in there, hang in there. Well, uh, I shared well, you know what? A lot of things scare me. Creepy crawlies. Other than bats, do you have anything else that really scares you, or anything that happened to you in
Well,
all your adventures that was just like, now that was truly frightening, that had you questioning, do I even really want to? Dude, I've had things happen to me that questioned, do I still want to do this?
I have not had anything like that. I have had many different types of experiences. I have had situations where team members of mine were being attacked, they were getting scratched or smacked and things like that. But I have never had anything happen um, that made me question if I really want to do this anymore or not. I have not gotten to that point. Um,
My sisters know how much they're both very spiritual people, as my younger brother is. My younger brother is in a little denial about the spirituality part, but um, my sisters are always telling me don't conjure because they know how much I miss my mom and dad, and it's kind of like, um, you know, um, I'm now a seminarian, but before when I was a reverend first, and the bishop who's got me under his wing and helping me through this, my seminary. Oh, I hear him all the time say I'm a priest first, and then everything else comes after that. And maybe I'll be there one day, but it's like my job. real, you know, I guess you could call it real job to help pay the bills would be as a veterinary technician, which I've done most of my adult life, worked with animals. And it's to this day, even though I've been at this one hospital for 20 years, if I'm going to bring in a personal animal for surgery, the doctors would prefer that you don't assist the surgeon on the surgery because it's different when it's your animal. And I find that's the same way about I would never think to have a seance and try and conjure my parents. I know that they're here in visitation all the time and watching over me anyway. So I don't
Mhm.
need to do that. But do you do any of that when it comes to do you do any like Ouija board or seances
No.
or
Uh,
unconventional type conjuring on your cases?
I don't use a Ouija board. I do want to understand it, and why it works in the manner that it does. But I do not use a Ouija board. I don't do any of that stuff. Um, Seances, no, I have not done anything like that. The closest thing I have would be utilizing my mediums, trying to communicate with spirits, and along the lines of that, I would never want them to try to talk to my mom because I know a lot of people would want to be able to have that one last conversation with a loved one or a friend or somebody like that. With my mom, is it's really different because if I were to have that conversation with her through either Clarissa or Jennifer, and then the conversation is over, I think for me, it would be feel like I just lost my mom again. Because I was just talking to her. Now I'm never going to talk to her again. And I don't really want to go through that.
I feel
I
you,
know,
brother.
yeah, I know everybody has different opinions when it comes to something like that. But for me, I think I would be more sad that, okay, yeah, I did talk to her. Now I'm at that point where that realization sets in. Oh, I'm never going to see her again now. I don't want to go
I
through that.
hope you I hope you know that you will see her again one day.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I will. And I do believe that she hangs around because I think that my daughter has seen her, and through Jennifer, I found out that she is very mad at my dad for not taking care of himself and doing things that he shouldn't be doing. But that's just how a loving wife is.
Well, before I have to kick you out of here, let me make sure everybody knows everything they need to know about you. Um, you've got the big surgery coming up. It's this month,
September
right?
12th.
September?
September 12th.
Okay, everybody, please keep Jeremy in your prayers on September 12th for his big surgery. That's big. You've got www.jeremyyork.com,
Hmm.
and you're also a singer. You've got some music on there that people can listen to, which is wonderful. I didn't know you were that talented. God bless you.
I
Um,
do a cappella albums, and in fact, I have another one that's getting ready to come out. The album itself is finished. The recordings are done. Now I am working on the digital CD booklet.
Very cool, brother. God bless you for that, man. You're very talented. I wish I was that talented. www.thingsghostsociety, all one word.com, and some Facebook pages. The Hoosiers Investigating New Ghost Society. That's
Mhm.
a wonderful page. And I love your podcast, The 13th Dimension. And you've got a 13th Dimension podcast Facebook page.
And that
Um,
comes on in 2 hours.
and you founded Things Network, which that's one of the networks this show is on. Um, I've got my paranormal ministry Facebook live page, of course, but I'm also on Things Network and Skeleton Key and Pact. But uh, you've done some great things, man, and I love you for that. You're just I think people like you in the paranormal field are a treasure. So if you ever feel unappreciated, know that there are people out there that appreciate the effort and the things you do, and you're putting together a wonderful directory of people all over the paranormal community under that umbrella from the different branches of what they do,
Mhm.
whether it be deliverance and exorcism to paranormal investigations to cryptids to whatever it may be.
And
Um,
speaking of that, I'm planning on having you on that one.
Very cool. Very cool.
I just hadn't had a chance to send you the message with the survey and all of that.
I'll be waiting for it. But until then, brother, I want you to know I appreciate you taking an hour out of your busy Friday to hang out with me. I know you've had a long day already and you're tired. So thank you so very much. God bless you. I love you. I respect you. You're a cool dude. Have a great remainder to your Friday evening, and I'll be in touch. I'm going to have you back later on in the year after your surgery and you recover and you're back into the swing of things. I'm going to have you back. Will you come back?
Yeah, absolutely. September 9th is going to be my last public um, on air show. And because that's going to be 3 days before the surgery. And I'm actually going to be cutting all of my hair off during that show. So all of this is going to be gone
It'll grow back.
for the surgery. And the current plan right now is that I will not be on any show until after the new year.
Very
That gives
cool.
me a chance for all the bones to mend and heal and some of my hair to grow back out.
Right on, brother. I'll be praying for you, and I'll have you back next year. But we'll talk before then.
Thank you. And
God
thank you
bless
for
you, brother.
being on the show.
Oh,
And
my
thank
pleasure.
you out there in the audience for playing along. I really appreciate it.
Hang in there. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, brother. Jeremy York, keep him in your prayers. Surgery coming up next month. Um, and check him out. Like I said, he's very talented. Okay, I will be here with another all new, brand new live show this coming Monday, August 8th. My Monday shows are a little bit later, they're 5 p.m. Pacific. And you're going to love these two, and you all know them and love them anyhow. Jimmy and Diane Trick. And they're an everything type of couple. They do it all. Cryptids, ghosts, angels, demons. They're just they paranormal authorities. Goosebumps is the team, and that's going to be a great show this coming Monday. What else do I want to tell you guys? Other than I don't have a show without each and every one of you, so thank you very much for tuning in. I love you all. I pray for you all. I got some people and things that I want to thank. I want to I want to thank the Claytons, Mr. and Mrs. Clayton, Zach and Adrian. That's just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? God bless the two of them for co-producing my show, and congratulations on their recent wedding. I want to thank Things Network for simulcasting my show. I want to thank Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. I want to thank Skeleton Key Network. And I want to thank Pact, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel, all for simulcasting my show. And I'm going to leave you guys with a bad joke to try and put a smile on everybody's face. And these are jokes that you sent in, and I'm going to pull them right out of this hat. What did the teddy bear have for dinner? Nothing. He was stuffed. Good night, dog. Good night, Jack. Good night, Danny. Good night, Harold. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless you all. I love you all. Peace.